Most people don't realize how much their personal information is being bought and sold every day. Data brokers are making billions, pulling details about you from public records and the internet, and then packaging and selling it, usually without your consent. That's how your information lands in the hands of scammers, spammers, even stalkers. It's why you get endless robocalls and why ads seem to follow you everywhere. That's where Aura comes in. Aura actively removes your data from broker sites and keeps it off. They also instantly alert you if your information shows up in a breach or on the dark web. But Aura goes beyond data protection. With one app, you get a VPN, antivirus, password manager, spam call protection, dark web monitoring, and even up to $5 million in identity theft insurance. All backed by 24/7 US-based fraud support. Other companies might sell just credit monitoring or just a VPN. Aura gives you all of it, together, at the same price competitors charge for just one service. Start your free trial today at aura.com/remove. Protect yourself now at aura.com/remove.
A dry wind rolls across a canyon pass. Then, dust explodes outward as a figure drops from the sky. Landing hard in a spray of gravel and scorched stone, metal shifts. A rangefinder flicks to life. Armor plates creak as a weapon locks into place. Across the pass, a blade clears its sheath. Boots grind against rock as another warrior steps forward, calm and deliberate. Claw snaps in the wind. A staff spins once through the air before settling, steady at her side. No hesitation, no fear, just discipline sharpened into instinct. One fights from behind a visor, cold, precise, untouchable. The other stands in the open, confident, relentless, unbreakable. Blasters meet steel, bounty meets battle mastery. This week, the galaxy's deadliest bounty hunter, Boba Fett, versus the warrior goddess of Eternia, Teela. Welcome back to another matchup from Who Would Win Masters. Tonight's battle pits tech against magic. I am Sam Proof on all the socials. And in this episode, representing Lucasfilms Limited, the bounty hunter who likes his tea with balls of tapioca and his solo investments in frozen assets, it's Boba Fett. Representing Filmation Associates, the sorceress who likes her boba without balls and her men with double pronouns, it's Teela. Our guest tonight has been a judge on past iterations of the show, but now she's finally stepping into the challenger's chair. She's not a lawyer, but she is a playwright. It's Eve Esquire. Now, Eve, you have a show coming up. Do you want to tell us about that?
Yep, I'm gonna plug it. If you're in the Burbank area this Saturday night, go over to the Good Night where you're gonna see Avatar, and I will resurrect Larry King somehow. From what I can understand. Did I say Larry King? Yes, I did. Because the theme is, we're back! The classic 90s dinosaur tale.
Now, you're repping Teela from Masters of the Universe. Why did you pick that character?
Well, number one, I was a child in the early 80s, and Masters of the Universe was your entire life. And with the new movie coming out, I'm feeling all that joy. I'm also feeling back again that anger I had when I was 7 years old watching that movie and going, I know two things for sure. The Care Bears movie is absolute art, and this is absolute crap. So I'm hoping for some vengeance. I have my ticket already for June 3rd. And Camila Mendes is going to kill it because she's so good at whatever she does. And Teela's just one of those really great positive female role models that you can have. She's one of the only females in He-Man, but she's also what a female, though.
Right on. All right. Before we meet your opponent, I'm going to give a little history on both of the characters. It's time for tonight's Tale of the Tape, which is brought to you by turning on the TV during dinner. In some households, having the TV on during dinner is not allowed. And I'm here on behalf of the American TV During Dinner Foundation to tell you that's a dumb way to think. After spending all day working on a screen and before you're spending your evening getting entertainment on a little screen, wouldn't it be comfortable to have a little more screen time in the middle? I say yes. Now, it's not just that. If there's a TV on during family dinner, you have plenty to talk about. Like, hey, did you see that? Or, hey, I missed that. What just happened? Did you see it? Not just that, but hearing the sounds of your loved one chewing can cause roughly 72% of all issues in the home. Stomp that out with ambient TV noise of your favorite situation comedy or sporting event. Turning on the TV during your family dinner? It's not just for breakfast anymore. All right, tonight we have a classic contrast in styles. On one side, we have Boba Fett, the famed Mandalorian bounty hunter from Star Wars, the man who captured Han Solo, fell into the Sarlacc pit, and then emerged later to have many adventures of his own. Boba Fett was created by George Lucas and first appeared in the Star Wars Holiday Special back in 1978. On the other side is Teela. Teela is one of He-Man's closest friends in the world of Masters of the Universe. Teela is the captain of the Royal Guard and the royal protector of Prince Adam, aka He-Man, a true warrior goddess. Teela has shown superhuman strength and toughness in every iteration. Teela was created by Mark Taylor and Roger Sweet and first appeared in the 1982 mini-comic He-Man and the Power Sword. Now let's get to our own He-Man. Really? I feel gross just having to say that. Coming not from Eternia, but from Detroit, which is known locally as the Little Eternia of the Midwest. That's not. Ray, it's Ray Stacanis. Ray, nobody says that. Nobody says that, do they? No.
No, everybody says
Nobody
that.
says
I
that.
say that, and so everybody says I'm very trendy. I'm very popular. People say what I say.
We're not
Everyone
letting
calls
Ray write the tail of the
Detroit
tape ever
the
again.
Little Eternia of the
No.
Midwest.
Not a thing.
No, that's it. We're only
right.
spitting facts here on who would win Masters. How dare you?
Mhm.
I picked Boba Fett because, first off, Teela is a very strong, powerful warrior, and I'm also a child of the early 80s Masters of the Universe era. I actually had my birthday party we went to go see Masters of the Universe in theaters as my birthday party. And I'll be honest, I loved it. I saw in the moment how wonderful it was. I saw how maybe not faithful to the original property as it possibly could have been. Now knowing that it's one of the famed canon films where they made a movie with almost no money whatsoever and less talent behind it. And I'll be honest, Dolph Lundgren is my He-Man. I love the character of Blade from that movie. I felt like he was like the coolest guy in the world and was waiting for the Blade action figure. I also have not seen that movie probably since I was, back in 1987 in the theaters. So maybe it's worth revisiting. I'm guessing maybe it's not.
It might not be. But the new movie looks good.
But that's not why I picked Boba Fett. I picked Boba Fett because I needed somebody very powerful and maybe a contrast of styles to fight against Teela. And Boba Fett presents technology, great training. He's not superhuman. He doesn't have those qualities that Teela has. So to me, we're dealing with a little bit of raw barbarian power in a way versus kind of a tech science kind of a guy. And I'm here for it. I love these type of battles, and I think there's a great case to be made for both characters.
All right. Well, with that said, it is time for our rules in under a minute.
Here are your rules for who would win Masters in 1 minute. Number 1, there will be 3 timed rounds with counterpoints allowed. Number 2, characters will have no prior knowledge of their opponent and no outside interference will be allowed. Number 3, keep the characters in character. Outliers and crossovers will be given less weight. Number 4, battles can be won by death, knockout, battlefield removal, or incapacitation. And number 5, after the battle, I will give my unofficial opinion as to who wins and why. However, I am just one voice. It will be up to all of you on our social media and our Patreon to make your voices heard as to who won.
I feel like I'm the reason for a couple of those rules ever occurring.
Look, we kept adding to the rule book. Allow me to say right now, Eve Esquire, maybe one of the most controversial judges in the original iteration of the Who Would Win show. She has some of the most controversial decisions. I would say of the top 5 most controversial decisions, she has at least 2, maybe 3 of them.
I gave it to Conan because he has a tax accounting background, which was not brought up. And I'm like, but I know that, so I'm going to count it.
Wow. Okay.
That is absolutely correct.
Wow. All right. So we're going to add no kicking below the belt to the rules. And let's get into it. Eve, as our guest, you will start us off. You have 3 minutes on the clock for your point number 1, starting now.
Very good. Welcome and bienvenue, everybody. My name is Eve Esquire. I'm not a lawyer, but I am a passionate Masters of the Universe fan. Being such, I have seen both the original, There's a couple I haven't seen, like the remake in the 90s. We're not going to count that one. We're not going to count the really excellent 2002 remake. But we are going to draw from Filmation and its spiritual successor, Revelations, which if you have not seen it on Netflix, please do yourself a favor. It's so good. Now, to get into who Teela is a little bit, Teela has significant training in combat, hand-to-hand and otherwise, from her father Duncan, aka Man-at-Arms. That's the official title of the Captain of the Guard. She is so proficient with that upbringing that she was set to take over the position of Man-at-Arms. Would they call her Woman-at-Arms? Probably not, because Teela respects tradition. She has a sword, she has a shield, knife, gun, Eternian laser attack, fists, and thighs. She is an absolute warrior with or without weapons. Now, in the words of Mrs. Hardbroom from the Worst Witch series, a true witch has magic with her at all times, and as such, Teela must be mentioned that she does become not only the Sorceress of Grayskull, but the Tri-Sorceress. Teela has the magic within her fingertips, as opposed to her combat training, which was drilled into her from such an early age, having that kind of a father, who was also an inventor. So not only is she around combat, she's around tech all the time. She has magic that is innate. That means that she can just feel it and transcribe it and be it. It's like the ultimate mental health holiday, which will play in a lot into a lot of the battles we're going to face here today. Basically, she has the ability to sense magic, to seal an entity within an object, kind of like putting them in the world's scariest snow globe, which we will get to. She can channel energy and she can fly. More importantly, she also has a cool staff that has been changed in various things. A snake staff, the eagle staff, the staff of Ka, and maybe even a little bit of the havoc staff. Who knows? And the best thing about it is, like, anytime you can't explain anything away about Teela, just remember, a wizard, nay, a sorceress did it. But I'm
30 seconds remaining.
30 seconds remaining, I can do this. Most importantly, you got to remember, for girls playing He-Man, you had 3 really strong characters to choose from. You had Teela, you had the sorceress, and you had Marlena, who was an astronaut, which I'm very glad that in this movie, they're hammering on that fact. His mom was an astronaut. Why do we not talk about that more? But this movie is going to clear up all of that. So.
All right, we're going to head over to Ray with his point number 1. 3 minutes on the clock for Boba Fett, starting now.
I absolutely love the fact that you talked about Teela and you talked about some of her magical affinity, but let's just remember that it really depends on which iteration of Teela that we are talking about, because in the original series of He-Man, she maybe had access to a little bit of telepathy sometimes. She didn't have magical powers. Some of the later incarnations where they let Teela come more into her own, she does show a little bit more magical affinity. So I do want to at least not shut down the magic point, but say that throughout her history, she has not necessarily shown all of that magical powers. And if you are going to lean into the magic, that means that the earlier He-Man stuff kind of falls off the table as a direct result. She's not the best of everything all the time. You got to pick a lane. Look, we're going to talk about Boba Fett now. He got his Beskar armor, and it's modified Beskar armor. It's pretty much indestructible, as we've learned. It can tank blasters. It can tank bombs. It can take lightsaber strikes to the helmet, a thing that he has absolutely done before. In fact, it even tanked the Sarlacc pit. Outside of fan fiction even. He tanked it in real Star Wars canon, not just the fan fiction that was written later. Look, it covers all the crucial parts of his body as well, so there really aren't a ton of weak spots that Teela is going to be able to exploit to get through that armor. He also carries with him a jetpack, which allows for a little bit of limited flight. He can jump around, get the high ground blaster if she needs to. I don't remember Teela having any big ranged attacks. So all Boba Fett really has to do is keep this very powerful warrior at a certain range, and he should be able to bring her down. His helmet also has hunt mode, which allows him to find hidden enemies, kind of a predator, not quite, but predator vision type of a thing. But his outfit also has weapons embedded. I've never seen a character with this many weapons embedded in their wrists, because he has the I'll call it the Zerka Arms ZX miniature flame projector. My brother has a flamethrower that shoots out of his wrist. Is that enough? No. The Blastech Dirt 24 wrist lasers out of his wrists as well. That's probably enough. No, a FiberCord whipcord thrower, that whip thing that he whips around, grabs people and yanks them forward. Surely, Ray, that's all he has in his wrists. Again, the answer is no. He also has the Calvarec consolidated arms, MM9 mini concussion rocket launcher, a rocket launcher in his wrist. This guy's out of control. He also, of course, is a blaster that's known as the EE3 carbine rifle. It's a big, heavy, two-handed blaster modified specifically for stopping power against powerful opponents. Guess what Teela falls under? Yes, exactly the thing this was made to stop. And finally, if I don't mention it, someone will get mad. The Gaddafi stick. I almost called it the Gaddafi stick. That would be a whole other thing. But my man, he's got the stick, he's got the tools, he's got the talent. He takes down Teela.
You didn't even get the 30 seconds.
I don't give myself the 30 seconds because I don't need it. Because I'm the timer. I already know when 30 seconds
Contentious. All right, Eve, as our guest, you will get counterpoints for every round. You have 60 seconds on the clock for your first counterpoint, starting now.
Well, there's one thing you mentioned, one thing you didn't mention that Boba Fett had. Like, he went to the rocket launchers, the blasters. I know he probably has a net thing that pops out of there. What you didn't mention is probably the carpal tunnel that he definitely has. I mean, I don't care how great your uniform is, but if it's that heavy and that cumbersome, you're going to have some things. And I don't think the Mandalorians have a great insurance plan. Also, he's a clone. He's a clone. He's a copy of a copy. Have you ever made a copy of a copy? Have you ever used a mimeograph machine, Ray? I mean, I know we all love Boba Fett, but he was resurrected by Patton Oswalt. And on the level of things that have gotten resurrected by Patton Oswalt is 3 below the Lazarus Pit in DC Comics, which again is the DC version of the mimeograph. Why are we resurrecting everybody in DC? Not everybody needed to be resurrected. Boba Fett went out originally. We last saw him because some pole poked into him and he fell into a pit. And he's supposedly one of the most wonderful warriors in the galaxy. And I'll say, help me. Filled my time.
All right, you don't have to poke me with a pole. It's time to take a break, and we will come back for our round number 2.
Most people don't realize how much their personal information is being bought and sold every day. Data brokers are making billions, pulling details about you from public records and the internet, and then packaging and selling it, usually without your consent. That's how your information lands in the hands of scammers, spammers, even stalkers. It's why you get endless robocalls and why ads seem to follow you everywhere. That's where Aura comes in. Aura actively removes your data from broker sites and keeps it off. They also instantly alert you if your information shows up in a breach or on the dark web. But Aura goes beyond data protection. With one app, you get a VPN, antivirus, password manager, spam call protection, dark web monitoring, and even up to $5 million in identity theft insurance, all backed by 24/7 US-based fraud support. Other companies might sell just credit monitoring or just a VPN. Aura gives you all of it, together, at the same price competitors charge for just one service. Start your free trial today at aura.com/remove. Protect yourself now at aura.com/remove.
It was a great start, everyone. I want to see what you have in your point number 2. 3 minutes on the clock for Eve, starting now.
Let's make magic happen, Patton Oswalt. All right. Well, Teela, as I've said before, from the Revelations, so I'll just take it from the book of Revelations. Who cares about filmation? Even though they did pioneer some really great rotoscoping techniques. It's taken from Revelations on Netflix as of 2021. She grew up in the royal palace of Eternia as the actual daughter of Man-at-Arms, because this adaptation takes a little turn. Man-at-Arms played by Deborah Seaworthy from Game of Thrones. Also the dad from A Little Princess, which, if you have dad feelings, this is the perfect casting. So Teela had an A++ dad. Take that. What did you have, Boba Fett? Did you have a clone daddy named Jango who was like, maybe you'll do? Wasn't Man-at-Arms, wasn't no Duncan. Anyway, Teela was exposed to some battle acumen the way most of us were exposed to Charles Schultz's Peanuts. She just grew up with it. Magic and technology and fighting. She grew up not experiencing the negging most women would have in a male-dominated field, such as Captain of the Guard. She is confident and unencumbered when it comes to her instincts, as shown by some of the outfits she wears that is like full white pants button. Now, any woman will tell you, I know you men do not understand this, but when you wear white pant bottoms, that means you're confident to bleed whenever. You're not afraid of the menstrual fallout, nor is she. That's somebody who you pay attention to and follow into battle. Now, this also ties into her innate magic, which is learned by instinct versus study, like with her contemporary Evelyn. Maybe she's born with it. Maybe it's the fact she has the combined powers of 1, 2, 3 gods. Zor, the god of birth, as represented by the orange falcon, technically a female, sometimes pronounced Zoar. Ka, the god of passion, represented by the snake, which also explains her snake armor in her original action figure. They made it all made sense. That's why I love Revelations. And also, Havoc is represented by the ram. As you may remember Skeletor's Havoc staff, which has a ram head, also Pluck. If you're feeling fun and feisty, go onto YouTube. Google Skullet. It's the only skull crafting glue as represented by Skeletor. It's one of my first sketches. Good times to be had, everybody.
30 seconds remaining.
Havoc was devourer of the who was represented by the ram. That can cause concussive blasts as well. And this is what makes her more than the sorceress at Grayskull, but the tri-sorceress. In other words, try and find out, everybody. That is almost my time by the time I end my sentence right here. Go Teela. It's gonna happen.
All right. Ray, 3 minutes on the clock for Boba Fett, starting now.
Now, first off, I have to speak to some Star Wars heresy that I am hearing from one Eve Esquire right now. Jango Fett is not a clone. Jango Fett is the man that all clones were based off of. Do you know why? Because he's the baddest mofo in the entire universe. If you're going to pick one template, one perfect man that you want to base every single future clone off of, I'd say that having that guy as your clone daddy is probably a good place to be. And yes, Boba Fett is a clone off of Jango, aka the Jim Thorpe of his era, and I am here for that old school sports reference. Now, Boba Fett, as I like to call him, is known for maximum lethality, to the point where Darth Vader has to tell him, don't disintegrate this one when he sends him after Han Solo. He understands that Boba Fett will not understand the assignment. He is going to go out and try to kill everybody that he can and probably disintegrate people at the same time. Now, combat-wise, I know that this next point means absolutely nothing, but it must be mentioned how Boba Fett goes ham on stormtroopers. And I know everybody goes ham on stormtroopers, but dear Lord, this is a guy who cracks their stormtrooper armor by just punching and kicking and elbowing them. This is a guy who knocks them out with one shot. This is a guy who outsmarts, okay, again, easy, but he absolutely wrecks stormtroopers to the point where you'd swear he was a video game character in a Dynasty Warriors game. It's outrageous. One of his favorite moves, and one that I like as well, is a move where he pulls the pin on his thermal detonator, or, activates it, however that happens, drops it at his feet, and then jetpacks away, so that way his opponent in close combat gets hit by it, and he does not. Really smart guy, great tactic, highly recommended. He's also a great sharpshooter with his blaster, and that's where I think he's really going to win this battle. He was trained by his father from a young age to be a great warrior, much like Teela was, except obviously the model clone is the father. Gotta love that. Other things I've seen him do. I've seen him one hand grab an alien and threw this guy through a window from a seated position. Wow. I saw him get attacked by one of Bo-Katan's entourage. He grabbed her and picked her up in the air and slammed her through a table like he was Bubba Ray Dudley circa 2003 WWE. I've seen this man do a choke slam on a guy, speaking of wrestling moves, while he was in the process of getting tased by like one of those taser sticks. Choke slam to the ground. I saw him, Boba Fett, jump on the back of a 10-foot tall sand ape and strangle it with a chain. And most importantly, or at least finally, I saw him use his special staff to stop a future train all by himself by sticking it in and using it for leverage to pull a stuck brake. the entire weight of the train. This guy's too powerful. Boba Fett is the winner.
All right, Eve, you have 60 seconds for your counterpoint, starting now.
Okay, so you stopped a train with the staff. Are you trying to get the autistic vote? Because that's rude. I will say this. Look, yeah, you said Django is his dad. Technically, he's a clone. He's a clone daddy, but he's not Duncan. Do not diss what a father's love can do for somebody. It can make them move mountains. What drives Boba Fett? What's his mission? Is it try to get his dad's love? Because guess what? Teela doesn't need that. She has it in spades. Also, she's the love of a sorceress mother. Who is Boba Fett's mother? Who gave him Milky when he was a baby? Who loved and nurtured him? What are we dealing with? It's like, he fights me up for what? And also, I drive a car that says the Mandalorian. And I do have the dice. So even though I may not talk the talk, I do drive the drive. And I really do wish, actually, my car was called Battle Cat, because that would be really cool.
All right, we'll be right back after this break. All right, it's time for your point number 3, where you really lead us to paint a picture of this victory. Eve, you will start us off. 3 minutes on the clock, starting now.
This one I am ready for. Teela helps save Eternia from evil. But it's Teela versus Scareglow, where I think where the best battle happens. Yes, Scareglow, the glow-in-the-dark figure, where his special power is he glows in the dark. And the card in Revelations, it's absolutely amazing. You get to see a lot of cool stuff with Scareglow. And like, oh, we fleshed out his character, even though he's a skeleton. That's a joke. The coolest part about this is that, you may not know this in Revelations, they had 2 voice actresses for Teela. And in this incarnation, it is Sarah Michelle Gellar, the vampire slayer herself, who I thought did a spirit job. No shade to Melissa Benoist, TV's Supergirl, but I would do anything that woman tells me to do. Now, long before becoming the Tri-Sorceress, or just even the Sorceress, Teela has to confront Scareglow in Preternia, which is the underworld of Eternia. Scareglow is the ruler of the shadows who feasts on fear. Scareglow agrees to give Teela half of the power sword which she is looking for in exchange for her fear. Now, as she says, staring him in the eyes, in the voice of Sarah Michelle Gellar, I have no fear. Growing up confident and knowing she means it, as again, she had a steady father figure. Duncan, if you can't trust that mustache to say, I believe in you, I don't know what you can trust. Now, and again, this is from a woman who has white pan confidence. Now, I fear her. Scareglow negs her and saying that she's covered in fear. She agrees to give him her fear, not realizing what this means. She is pitted against an evil He-Man who takes the negging up. He is a representation of ideals and longing, and they're telling her that she's not good enough. Then evil He-Man turns into evil Herman. I would love to see that. Evil He-Man turns into a younger version of himself. And we all know that nobody is meaner than a teenage daddy's girl. So she's going up against herself, and her biggest fear is realized that she's not going to live up to her full potential. I mean, imagine, you're the daughter of the Man-at-Arms and the Sorceress, and you're just like, you can do everything. And she's like, I don't know, I just want to kick up and watch some YouTube some Sunday. Let me get into that. But knowing and naming her fear, she's now in control of that. And so, sorry, Scareglow, dinner is canceled, denied. It's just like a century
30
old.
seconds remaining.
He meant to say, hey, go make me dinner, warrior princess. So, anyway, that's right. Teela weakens Scareglow enough to have Orko save the day. That's how powerful she is. She let Orko take him out. And if we know anything about Orko, he was there just to be a fun thing. Fun fact, he has an O on his thing because in animation you can flip it over and over and it says the same thing. That's genius. Way to go, Filmation. Good move.
All right, Ray, it's time for your point number 3. 3 minutes on the clock, starting now.
I have so many things to add here. One, if Orko defeated Scareglow, then I maybe would put out there that maybe he's not the greatest villain in the entire world for Teela to be struggling with before that. And I would argue one thing that I didn't really think about until you brought it up, Eve, and a great point. These are two characters who did not know their mothers growing up and were raised by single fathers. And that is a touch point that I think is actually important to the character of both of these people. And yeah, I think it's worth mentioning and saying. Now, one was, of course, the clone daddy of all clone daddies, and the other was Man-at-Arms, who was a very accomplished warrior in his own way. And honestly, yeah, would be probably a better father than Jango. Let's go ahead and put it out there. So I would argue that she was more coddled, and that's why Boba Fett's a little bit stronger at the end of the day through all of his warrior ways. But let's talk about some of the things that he has done. Look, he was the one who caught Han Solo. Just start there. That's an amazing thing to have done in the world of Star Wars. He did it. He beat the Crimson Dawn who were looking, other bounty hunters who were looking, and even other randos who were just hanging around who wanted to collect on the bounty. He had to navigate all of that web to be the one to deliver Han Solo to the Empire, and you got to give it up for a tactician who does something like that. Now, he's known across the galaxy as the absolute best of the best, although he is a little sloppy when it comes to his violence. And it's hard to live in the shadow of a much more famous father than yourself and keep it real. He did make a good name for himself and later was seen to outshine even his father, Jango Fett, who, as I mentioned before, is the clone daddy of the universe, the peak human pinnacle form that they decided would be the one to clone everybody off of. Another interesting thing I learned about Boba Fett through this research is that he collects the scalps of Wookiees. I would think it's impressive just to have one scalp of a Wookiee, though gross and something you shouldn't do, much less having so many of them that it becomes a collection. That is a fighter. That's a guy who goes. He was also able to hang with Darth Vader in a fight once, and that earned the respect of the Dark Lord. He beat Chewbacca, another Wookiee, in a close quarters fight. Not an easy thing to do if a Wookiee gets their hands on you. Heck, in his own TV show, he did kill Cad Bane, who is known across the world as a great, character in Star Wars and somebody very impressive. He also defeated a guy named Zingo Gabnett. This man defeated Zingo Gabnett, and I will not take any shot. I will take some shot because this is the point. Boba Fett in the world of Star Wars has taken out tons and tons of big bads and impressive characters who, outside of really tight Star Wars communities, don't mean anything at all to anyone. In the world of Star Wars, taking out Zingo Gabnett was a big deal. In the world of real life, no one knows who that is and no one cares. It's kind of sad, actually, to be so. Anyway, did I mention he has a personal starcraft? Did I mention he has a spaceship he could get in and blast Teela from the air from? We're probably not going to be allowed to use it, but I'm going to mention it because if I don't, I will hate myself on the backside. Let's go, Boba Fett.
All right, Eve, you got one final counterpoint. 60 seconds on the clock, starting now.
I'm so glad that you said that I'm saying Zingo Gabnett as if it means something, because it absolutely does not. Also, you're slamming down Orko. I mean, we love Chewie. If we had to choose between who we would hang out, we would absolutely hang out with Chewie, but Chewie is the Orko of the Star Wars universe. I don't care if he's hung out with Chewie. We all want that. That's just kind of cool. Point being, Teela is the Tri-Sorceress. Not just the Sorcerer Grayskull, Tri-Sorceress. She's all three in one. And she defeats her enemies at the end like Godling. Yes, Evil Lyn turns into a god. And how does she defeat her? Does she kick her ass? No, she gets in her head. Because that's where the real game and the real battle happens. She reminds her, it's like, yes, life has always let you down. Kind of a Boba Fett herself, by the way. Life has let you down. Life has treated you. I'm here to tell you, life is beautiful and it's hard, and that's why we live it. And she convinces Evil Lyn with the powers of a god to relinquish them and to retire out to a planet just sort of out. If we had more people like Teela, it'd be good.
All right, and as always, Ray has not had counterpoints throughout the show, but he does get the final thought, so whenever you're ready.
That's right, Eve Esquire. It's a home field advantage, but you got 3 more extra minutes than I did in this episode, so don't you even start. What I will say with this is, first off, she becomes the Tri-Sorceress at the very end of the entire show. And is that the Teela that we know? Is that the Teela that we've been following all of this time? Or is this the Teela they decide to level up at the very end, Goku style, to do the big thing at the very end of the series to get a magical ending? It's a great ending to the show, and I'm not going to say it isn't. Is it representative of the character as we know her, or is it a deep outlier compared to every other iteration? I would argue it's a deep outlier and should be given less weight according to the official rules of who would win Masters. And I'm a big stickler for the rules. As you learned last week, I value the rules very much in all of my arguments, and I take them to the letter of the law. Thank you very much. Anyway, Boba Fett, I think, absolutely defeats Teela. I think if we look at actually how they do match up, Teela strength-wise is stronger. I think the durability is a little bit of a push. Although, he has the armor that can't be fractured in any way by anything she can do. I mean, obvious win. And she is naturally very strong as well. And she does have the magical affinity. But my man's got a jetpack, and he's got a laser blaster as well. And he's a well-trained sharpshooter. There aren't a lot of guns. There are some in the world of Masters of the Universe, but nothing with the level that Boba Fett would bring to the table as far as shooting her from a distance, using his jetpack to keep that distance and taking her out. If they get close, I think he drops a thermal detonator grenade. I think he flies away. And I think Teela just doesn't have an answer for some of the attacks. Although Teela, I'm not going to say she isn't very powerful in her own right. She 100% is. She's a very impressive character. I'm not here to disrespect Teela. I just think in this particular example, Boba Fett has everything he needs to pull down this victory.
May I say one thing?
You may.
That has nothing to do with the battle.
Please.
I think we should have pitted Duncan versus Jango Fett.
I think we have a rematch on the books for Man-at-Arms versus Jango Fett at some point in the future, regardless of how this battle goes and regardless of what the people vote at the end of the day.
Well, I will definitely think about that as well as everything else, and I'll be right back with my decision.
Weighed all the points made. Two figures met in collision. Now let's find out who would win. It's time to hear Sam's decision.
All right, first off, well done, everyone. Look, Masters of the Universe and Star Wars are two amazing properties, and these are two awesome characters from both. Eve came in strong with a little bit of magic, a little bit of strength, a little bit of guns and Eternia lasers. Boba comes in his bubble pack with a blaster, nigh indestructible armor. No, nigh destructible armor, because if it's nigh indestructible. Anyway, and a weird amount of wrist tech, which just sounds like a lot of pain at the end of the day. Rey argued that Boba Fett could essentially use his jetpack to evade Teela while spawn sniping her, and she might not be able to poke him with a pole, but she does have her gun and laser. And not to mention, maybe some magic. So that might not be the magic move for our tech boy. One might have daddy issues, and the other may be born with it, but both are not going to run from a fight, while catching Solo and delivering him to a giant worm does tug at our hearts from the 80s. Solo is just a human, and that's about as impressive as Orko taking out Scareglow. Big goose egg, which is the same upside down, by the way. Rey brought in the Slave One. Based on the response that we've had in some recent episodes, I think we're going to see a big viewer reaction to that, and I'm pretty sure the comments are going to rule that that is outside of the rules. Equally, is Teela full-on Tri-Sorceress? If that is, in fact, a level up that is unlocked at the end of everything, it is truly outrageous to bring in all of her powers. Whether you're covered in fear or Mandalorian armor, this battle feels extremely close, and I'm going to have to give it to the one that drops a thermal grenade and blasts off. By a slim margin, I am giving it to the Milky Baby, Boba Fett. Eve, well done. Well done.
I'm up against the master.
Yeah. I think you come back with more note cards and
I'll be back with
take
Duncan.
it another time. Yes.
Good luck,
we definitely
Jingo.
should see that play out.
Going down.
I'm not gonna lie. I thought when you started that and when you were going down your path and you were poo-pooing on my blaster argument with the jetpack, I thought I was cooked. So for pretty much 75% of your decision, I thought I was having to get prepared to lose to Eve Esquire, which there's a lot of nobility in that. Do not get me wrong. Many people do. I feel like I got away with one here. I feel like I got lucky and in this particular battle. And I want to make sure the people at home understand when they vote on this battle that I dominated, that I won this battle harder than any battle I've ever fought before. Eve, obviously, I think you can agree.
I think this was the closest we've ever seen.
I will say, Sam, thank you for pointing out that he captured Han Solo. It's like, he's a jobless slob in a bar. How hard is that?
Might as well have captured me on a Friday.
Right. I live by the Foxfire. There's a whole bunch of Han Solos over there.
Yeah. Eve, any last thoughts on this?
Well, this isn't over, Ray. We're going to come back for the daddy competition. It's a must.
You know, I want to just quote the very famous words of Apollo Creed.
Jim Thorpe?
Apollo Creed, another great athlete, at the end of Rocky 1, when he said, "There will be no rematch." Now, I know I'm lying when I say it, because Man-at-Arms versus Jango Fett is maybe even a more exciting battle than this one, if that's possible. It's at least on the same level of excitement as far as I'm concerned. And Eve Esquire, I'm going to tell you right now, to the camera, to America, to your face, I welcome your challenge in the future.
I got to tell you something, Ray. I know what I wanted. Halfway through doing this, all I wanted to do was talk about Duncan. And now I'm going to do that on a future episode. So who really won, Ray?
Boy, I'm still not sure. I'm starting to feel less and less like it every minute we keep going.
That might be a whole separate poll that we have to run with this. All right, Eve, thank you so much for joining us. Do you want to tell people where they can find you?
You can see me this Saturday at the Good Night on Avatar, bringing back from the dead Larry King. Cool, he could be Scareglow. That would be a great action figure. Scareglow is Larry King at this point, or even when he was alive.
Excellent.
If you told me that they were the same person, I'd believe you.
Okay.
I can see it. All right, Ray, any last words on this?
Yeah, this one was really tough. You know, I'm going to say again, go to patreon.com/whowouldwinmasters. All free and paid members both get a chance to vote and comment on this one. I have a feeling like this is going to be a very, very close vote. Obviously, Boba Fett won. Obviously, Sam made the right call based on my incredible arguments. Really had to go over the top on this one to achieve a victory, and I'm so happy that I did. Obviously, and I just want to make sure the people agree. And so if you agree with that, go on patreon.com/whowouldwinmasters and cast your vote. If you do not agree with that, I still want you to join the Patreon as a free or paid member.
Yeah.
But you don't have to. You could sit this one out. I give you permission if you don't agree that Boba Fett won. Eve, I think that's only fair, right?
I think everybody who would agree with me wouldn't be a Patreon, so maybe.
There it is. So Eve is trying to argue that the thousands of you who listen that are not on our Patreon are all truly on her side. I think there's only one true way that you could prove that, and that's join our Patreon and cast your vote any way you slice it. This battle's been great. Eve is a truly tremendous talent, an incredible brain, and I feel very fortunate to have wiggled my way out, at least as far as Sam's decision goes. So I don't often sweat on this show. This is the time I was sweating basically from point number one. So Eve, in that, I congratulate you, and I thank you for being a part of this.
The real winner, I think we can all agree here, is Jim Thorpe.
Jim Thorpe getting a reference on Who Would Win Masters is the true winner of this battle. He might be added as an optional third option to who won this battle. The problem is if we do that, he will obviously win.
That's true. I mean, that's the secret rule, is that Ray will win.
That's true. That's true. That is, and decathlon athletes. Decathletes? Is that a word?
Yeah.
Sure.
Thank God, because I just made that up in my head and it didn't even come out right the third time I said it.
I was an academic decathlete.
Whew. Not a mathlete, though.
No.
Okay.
No, I could.
Okay.
I was educated in Idaho. You think I could do math the entire time I was there?
I mean,
I would leave the state and then realize, oh, I do know how to do math.
Okay. You know what? I think sometimes your brain has to overcome your surroundings.
Right.
I'll go with that.
I work in legal accounting now. It's a weird path.
All right. And Another Weird Path is the one that brings us back next week for our wrap-up episode. We'll be breaking down the votes, revealing the tally, and reacting to comments that you have posted on our Patreon and Discord. You can, as always, find more information on the Discord about this episode, and of course, go vote on the Patreon at patreon.com/whowouldwinmasters. And if you think you've got what it takes to be in the Challenger's Chair, record a 1-minute video demo and send it to whowouldwinmasters@gmail.com. And we may see you in the Challenger's Chair across from Ray in a future episode. For Who Would Win Masters, this is Sam Proof. Stay strong.
Most people don't realize how much their personal information is being bought and sold every day. Data brokers are making billions, pulling details about you from public records and the internet, and then packaging and selling it, usually without your consent. That's how your information lands in the hands of scammers, spammers, even stalkers. It's why you get endless robocalls and why ads seem to follow you everywhere. That's where Aura comes in. Aura actively removes your data from broker sites and keeps it off. They also instantly alert you if your information shows up in a breach or on the dark web. But Aura goes beyond data protection. With one app, you get a VPN, antivirus, password manager, spam call protection, dark web monitoring, and even up to $5 million in identity theft insurance, all backed by 24/7 US-based fraud support. Other companies might sell just credit monitoring or just a VPN. Aura gives you all of it, together, at the same price competitors charge for just one service. Start your free trial today at aura.com/remove. Protect yourself now at aura.com/remove.
This is Sam Proof from Who Would Win Masters. We've opened new official channels and we want you there. Follow Who Would Win Masters on Instagram and subscribe to youtube.com/@WhoWouldWinMasters. And on YouTube, click the Visit Community button to leave your 1v1 battle challenges. Leave a comment and you might just hear it read on the show. Be a part of the arena, be a part of the debate. Now let's dive in.